There is a silent, devastating trap that thousands of men over 40 walk into every single day, and most of them will never realize it until it is far too late. They spend decades building careers, accumulating wealth, raising families, surviving the brutal storms of the professional world, and fighting the endless battles of life, only to find themselves utterly paralyzed, confused, and defeated when it comes to understanding modern women. They make a fatal, fundamental assumption. They believe that because they have grown older, because they have achieved financial stability, because they possess a good heart, or because they are willing to offer undivided devotion, attraction and respect will naturally follow. But the reality of human psychology is cold, indifferent, and operates on ancient biological laws that completely ignore your sacrifices, your credentials, and your expectations. The truth is, many older men are operating on an outdated relational map, using strategies that failed in their 20s or applying models of marriage that no longer exist in the modern world. In doing so, they unknowingly repel the very respect, appreciation, and genuine connection they cross oceans to find. They find themselves lonely in crowded rooms, discarded after giving their all, or stuck in sexless, resentful partnerships where they feel more like an insurance policy than a desired man. Today we're going to tear down the illusions, the comforting lies, and the cultural conditioning. We are going to reveal the profound, unspoken realities about women, human nature, and masculine self-worth that every mature man must internalize before time runs out. This is not a manifesto of resentment, and it is certainly not about playing superficial dating games or manipulative tactics. This is about absolute, unapologetic clarity, rooted in timeless Stoic philosophy and deep behavioral understanding. If you are ready to reclaim your authority, protect your peace of mind, and master the true nature of attraction in the second half of your life, listen to these words with absolute focus. Before we dissect these heavy realities, if you are a man committed to the path of self-mastery, wisdom, and building an unbreakable spirit, ensure you like this video and subscribe to our sanctuary. Let us begin. The first profound truth you must hear is that a woman will never truly love or respect a man who has no territory of his own. As men cross the threshold of 40, 50, or 60, a dangerous psychological shift often occurs. They become tired. The fires of raw ambition that defined their 20s and 30s begin to cool, the corporate ladder has been climbed, or the business has been stabilized. In this stage of life, men naturally begin to seek a safe harbor, a place of ultimate comfort and emotional rest. Too often they make a woman the harbor. They bend their entire existence around her moods, her schedule, her preferences, her social circle, and her emotional validation. They mistake this total surrender for romance. They believe that by becoming completely agreeable, by erasing their own boundaries, by asking her what she wants to do every single day, and by sacrificing their own desires, they are proving the depth of their love. But human nature operates on a completely different primal frequency. A woman does not long for a man who acts as a mirror, merely reflecting whatever emotional state she brings into the room. She longs for a mountain, something steady, unyielding, grand, and firmly rooted in its own massive geography. When you compromise your core principles, when you abandon your hobbies, your lifelong friendships, your fitness routines, or your personal long-term mission just to keep the peace, or to avoid the terrifying sting of loneliness, you become entirely predictable. And predictability is the absolute graveyard of sexual and romantic attraction. The Stoic philosopher Seneca famously wrote, "If a man knows not which port he sails to, no wind is favourable. If you have no personal destination of your own, if your life has no active frontier, you are implicitly asking her to be your captain. And the moment a woman realizes she has to captain your emotional ship, her romantic attraction for you instantly evaporates, replaced by a heavy, suffocating sense of burden. She does not want to be your compass. She wants to walk alongside a man who is already moving toward a destination with absolute certainty. True magnetism in your later years does not come from being aggressively dominant or loud. It comes from having an internal fortress that nothing outside of you can shake. It is the quiet confidence of a man who can look a woman in the eyes and show her deep affection, yet possess a rich, fulfilling, and demanding life of his own, a life that exists completely independent of her presence, her moods, or her validation. Your territory is your purpose, your work, your health, your discipline, and your code of honor. If you give up your territory to buy her companionship, you will end up losing both. The second harsh reality is the absolute danger of leading with transactional devotion. Many mature men, especially those who have achieved significant financial success later in life, fall into the dangerous illusion that female attraction can be purchased, or that lifelong loyalty is a debt incurred through material provision. Because they feel insecure about their age, their changing physical appearance, or their ability to connect emotionally, they lead with their wallets. They shower a woman with expensive dinners, extravagant trips, luxury gifts, and constant financial support, believing that this massive shield of security will protect them from rejection, infidelity, or abandonment. But you must understand this clearly and write it on your mind. Financial security can buy compliance. It can buy a beautiful companion to sit across from you at dinner, and it can buy domestic comfort. But it can never, under any circumstances, buy genuine, raw, burning emotional attraction. In fact, when you lead exclusively with your resources, you're setting a cold transactional boundary from day one. You are telling her, silently but clearly, that you do not believe your character, your mind, your humour, or your presence is enough to hold her interest on its own. You are placing your money on a pedestal and putting yourself beneath it. Women are incredibly intuitive creatures. They can sense when a man is using his wealth or his status as an emotional bribe. While they may accept the comfort, while they may gladly take the lifestyle you provide, they will secretly develop a deep underlying resentment for the manipulation beneath it. They will view you as a provider to be managed, not a man to be desired. Think about the tragedy of the older man who works 80 hours a week to provide a luxury life for a partner who looks at him with cold indifference when he comes home. He has entered into a business contract, not a relationship. True value is not found in your bank account. It is found in your energetic currency. It is found in your capacity to be fully present in the room, your ability to hold strong, unblinking eye contact, your sharp wit, your unshakable boundaries, and your absolute composure when everything around you is falling apart. Marcus Aurelius gave us the ultimate blueprint for this when he noted that true value belongs to those who value truth, justice, and self-restraint, not external, fleeting things. Stop trying to prove your worth through what you can buy for her externally, and start demonstrating your worth through who you are internally. When you stand before a woman stripped of your executive titles, your luxury cars, your real estate assets, and your achievements, your raw character should still be powerful enough to command her respect and attention. If it isn't, if your money is the loudest thing about you, no amount of wealth will ever save you from being entirely forgotten when a more compelling presence walks into her life. The third realization centers on the profound, almost mystical power of your emotional silence. In modern dating and therapeutic culture, men are constantly bombarded with advice telling them to be completely vulnerable, to open up, to cry, and to pour out every passing insecurity, fear, doubt, and childhood trauma to their female partners. While emotional honesty is vital in a deeply committed long-term spiritual partnership, many older men take this modern advice to a highly destructive extreme. They treat the woman they desire like an unpaid therapist or an emotional dumping ground. They use conversation to vent their frustrations about their past failures, their anxieties about health and aging, their financial stresses, or their deep-seated bitterness from a previous divorce. They believe that by laying their wounds bare, they are creating a deep bond of intimacy. In reality, they are leaking masculine weakness and shattering the foundation of safety. You must understand the primal psychology of the feminine mind. On a deep, evolutionary level, a woman's psychology seeks emotional stability, structural strength, and safety in a masculine partner. She faces her own internal storms, her own shifting hormonal and emotional tides, and she looks to the man to be the anchor that remains completely unmoved while the fierce waves crash around him. If you are constantly vibrating with anxiety, if you are easily rattled by minor inconveniences, if you complain about your problems without offering solutions, or if you require constant validation and reassurance from her to feel like a man, you are forcing her to become the strong one in the relationship. You are shattering the masculine-feminine polarity that genuine attraction requires. The ancient Stoics mastered the art of internal processing. They were not unfeeling robots, but they possessed immense emotional discipline. They understood that an emotion felt is not an emotion that must be instantly spoken to the world. When an uncertain moment arises, when she tests your boundaries, or when life throws an unexpected curveball into your path, your greatest weapon is the pause. It is the ability to take a silent, deep breath, master your internal state first, and then respond with cold, measured clarity rather than blind, defensive, emotional impulse. Your silence should never be cold, abusive, or punitive. It should be the calm, reassuring silence of a deeply secure sanctuary. It is the silence that says, "I have everything under control, you do not need to worry." When a woman realizes that she cannot break your composure with her words or her moods, that your peace of mind is entirely self-contained and generated from within, she realizes she is in the presence of a truly rare, powerful, and unforgettable man. The fourth truth is understanding that her emotional storms are rarely ever about you, and your job is never to fix them. This is perhaps the most difficult, counterintuitive lesson for mature, successful men to grasp, especially those who have spent a lifetime fixing complex problems in the professional, corporate, or financial world. In the world of business, when something breaks, you isolate the variable, analyze the data, formulate a logical strategy, and fix it immediately. That is how you win. But a woman's emotional world does not operate on engineering principles or logical data points. There will be days when her mood shifts without any logical explanation, days when she becomes distant, irritable, emotionally turbulent, or critical of small things. The average older man reacts to this by taking it entirely personally. His ego gets bruised. He becomes intensely defensive, demands to know what he did wrong, starts an argument to prove he is right, or tries frantically to solve the problem to restore his own comfort. This immediate frantic reaction screams emotional fragility. It proves to her that his internal state is completely dependent on her being in a good mood. It tells her that she has the power to manipulate his emotions with a single sigh or a cold look. A wise man, deeply grounded in Stoic wisdom, looks at an emotional storm not as a direct attack on his character, but as a passing weather pattern in the sky. Epictetus taught us a profound truth that can save your relationships. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. When she enters a space of emotional turbulence, your job is not to offer logical solutions to her feelings, nor is it to join her in the chaos by getting angry or anxious. Your job is simply to hold the line of your own peace. You lean back, you maintain your calm, you listen without absorbing the stress, and you offer a steady, loving, unbothered presence. You allow her the sacred space to feel her emotions completely without making her feel judged, and without allowing those emotions to alter your own baseline of inner tranquility. When she sees that you are a rock that cannot be eroded by her temporary waves, her respect for you reaches a level that words can never truly describe. She realizes that your stability is authentic, not a performance, and that she can safely release her emotional weight into your space without breaking you or driving you into madness. The fifth and final truth you must accept before it is too late is the absolute necessity of your willingness to walk away, permanently. This is the ultimate non-negotiable test of a man's self-esteem, and it is the exact area where most older men fail entirely out of a deep, subconscious, terrifying fear of dying alone. Because they look at the calendar, because they see fewer years ahead than behind, they compromise their dignity. They stay in dead-end relationships where they are systematically disrespected, ignored, devalued, or treated as an expensive option rather than a sacred priority. They endure passive-aggressive abuse, emotional withholding, and public humiliation, convincing themselves that at their age they cannot afford to start over, that the dating market is too brutal, or that this cold companionship is the best they can hope for. This mindset is absolute poison to the masculine soul. It destroys your spirit, chips away at your remaining dignity, ages you faster than any disease, and ironically ensures that the woman will continue to lose all attraction and respect for you. Women have an extraordinary evolutionary radar for masculine desperation. They know, with absolute certainty, whether a man is staying with them out of genuine, proud desire or out of a terrified, pathetic fear of isolation. The moment a woman realizes that no matter how poorly she treats you, no matter how much she devalues your time, ignores your boundaries, or insults your character, you will never leave because you have nowhere else to go. You lose all leverage, all power, and all respect. You have essentially told her that your self-respect has a price tag, and that price tag is simply her physical presence. A true high-value man, especially one who has lived long enough to understand the absolute brevity and precious nature of life, values his internal peace above all external attachments. He does not play manipulative mind games, he does not issue empty, emotional ultimatums that he won't enforce, and he does not walk away in a fit of dramatic, loud anger. Instead, if his boundaries are repeatedly crossed, if his value is not mirrored, and if respect is denied after clear communication, he does something far more powerful. He calmly, quietly, and permanently steps back. He closes the door with absolute grace, wishes her well in life, and returns his full focus, his time, and his vast energy to his own personal path. As the great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius powerfully reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The strongest negotiation position in any area of life, whether in a multi-million-dollar boardroom or in a romantic relationship, is the genuine lived ability to walk away and mean it. When you embody that level of absolute self-containment, when you are perfectly content with your own company, because your internal world is a beautiful place to live, you stop chasing love, you stop begging for respect, and you transform into a magnetic force that naturally attracts it. We have explored the 5 profound, uncompromising realities that every older man must internalize before the clock runs out on his life. But let these words settle deeply into the deepest layers of your consciousness right now. Simply understanding these concepts intellectually, or nodding your head in agreement while watching this video, will change absolutely nothing in your reality. This is not a checklist of cheap tactics to perform on your next date or a script to memorize to win an argument. This is a radical, permanent, and painful transformation of your identity. True attraction, the kind that stands the test of time, survives the aging process, and commands absolute respect from the world, is never caught through desperate pursuit or frantic attachment. It is cultivated through the total, relentless mastery of your own mind, your own body, and your own soul. When you cultivate a rich internal territory that you refuse to surrender, when you lead with the raw, heavy value of your character rather than transactional wealth, when you become the quiet, unshakable anchor in the middle of her emotional storms, and when you possess the profound self-respect to walk away from anything that devalues your peace of mind, you completely transcend the ordinary. You stop being just another older man searching for validation in a crowded hypergamous market, and you transform into the definitive standard of what a mature, high-value man truly is. The journey ahead of you will demand a relentless, daily discipline. It will require you to look directly into your deepest fears of isolation, to ruthlessly slaughter your fragile ego, and to embrace the heavy, beautiful weight of your own raw authenticity. But once you make that sacred commitment to yourself, once you draw that line in the sand, the entire world will begin to respond to your presence differently. You will no longer move through this life reacting to the choices, the whims, and the moods of others. You will dictate the absolute terms of your own internal peace. If you have travelled with us to the very end of this transmission, it proves you belong to that rare, elite percentage of men who refuse to grow old passively, men who refuse to let their fire be extinguished by comfort or fear. Do not let this insight fade into the background noise of your daily routine. Take a definitive, aggressive stand for your life right now. Go down to the comment section below and declare to yourself, which of these 5 realities do you need to anchor into your soul today? Is it setting firmer, unyielding boundaries, mastering your emotional silence, or letting go once and for all of the fear of being alone? Write it down, put it into existence, and make it an unbreakable covenant with your future self. Before you step back onto your path, if this insight brought clarity and armor to your world, ensure you hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell so we can continue to forge the path of mature, unshakable masculinity together. Until our next gathering, stay grounded, guard your internal fortress with your life, and never forget, the ultimate prize in this brief existence is not winning the approval or affection of another, it is the absolute, unquestioned mastery of yourself.